Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Daily Motivation. 365 days of consistency, doing the same things over and over again until they become habit. And I just want to always give it a second to allow people to come in on their busy day to watch these. Again, I always wish I could put these at a specific time, but unfortunately, my life doesn't work like that. I have to fit in my lives when I can fit them in until we are able to have, especially if you do them every day. You know, if I did them once a week, that'd be a little different. But having them every day makes it a little bit more of a struggle. Hey, thank you for watching. Sometimes if I can't see you, I'm not dissing you or dismissing you. I just didn't shout you out. Hey, Terry, what's going on, big guy? So I'm wearing my red hat by popular demand. And before we start, I want to give you your angel numbers. This is episode 244. Episode 244. So let's see what our angel numbers are for today. Of course, I don't give my angel numbers every day, but when I do, that means if you stumbled upon this episode, it was made specifically for you. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. All right, so 244, your angel numbers are: you are surrounded by powerful angels who love you unconditionally. There is nothing to fear. Man, that's a big one. That's a big one. Fear is one of those things that really hold us back, especially for doing something new and something we know we should be doing. So to hear that is great. So if you stumbled upon this episode, that was made specifically, Terry, for you. You are, hey, thank you, Nick, for your love. You are surrounded by powerful angels who love you unconditionally, and there is nothing to fear. Nothing to fear. So you're on your right way, brother. You're on your right way. So today I want to talk about, how do we show up during adversity? How do I show up? How do you show up? So when I mean adversity, when something unexpected happens that we weren't thinking it was going to happen. We were expecting something more positive, but something negative happened. How do we show up? And what I mean is, do we show up negative? Do we show up with a mean mug? Do we show up angrily? Do we show up blaming? Do we show up, you know what, I'm gonna give a half-hearted effort. You know, for example, just happened to me the other day, that's why I love this story. Les said a story once when he was first coming out speaking. And he was promoting it out throughout the city, telling people, hey, you know, come to this rec center. I'm going to be speaking, motivational. It's get tickets. It's going to be awesome. And I think it was a free show because he had a lot of confirmations. And when he finally got there, he saw one woman, one woman sitting there in a chair. The whole place was empty. It was just him and that one woman. And what he did was he said, well, if it's just this one woman, I'm going to wear that one woman out. And he gave his best effort. He was sweating, he had drips, and he was just giving her a dynamic speech. So imagine that. You got an exclusive speech one-on-one with Les Brown. People pay millions of dollars, thousands of dollars for that right now. And this lady, in his beginning time, was able to do that. And she thanked him. She was like, hey, great speech, great presentation. And when he was leaving, the organization that was hosting the event came to him and said, hey, listen, one, we respect that even though there was one woman that showed up, you killed it. You killed it. And two, we love your professionalism. We love your work ethic. We want to invite you back to one of our shows that you can speak for. And that was a paid gig that he got. So what I mean, how do you show up? Is when something frustrating happens, do you show up as your best self or less than your best self? That's a critical question. Do we show up as our best self no matter what? Or do we make excuses to show up less than our best selves? In that story, Les showed up as his best self. That's what led him to another opportunity. And I bring this point up because it happened to me the other day. I had a workshop on Saturday. And man, you know, I got confirmations. People like, oh yeah, I really want to learn how to write a book. I really want to get published. 2020 is my year, etc., etc. We hear it every year. And I had a lot of confirmations. But only one person showed up. Only one person, actually two people. I'm sorry, two people. One was in and out. The other person showed up, and only one person showed up. And I said, all right, we're gonna do this presentation for this one person. She's gonna get the exclusive material that other people could have gotten. Why? Because I'm going to always show up as my best self. Even though I look at it this way, you missed out on the info. I know the info already. So if you didn't show up, you missed out. So it has nothing really to do with me. It has more to do with the people that confirmed but were not seriously serious. So I came up as my best self. And after the presentation, she said that was a great presentation. And she started giving me some advice that said, hey, I think this could uptick your career. And I took it. See, when you show up as your best self, you'll always get the advantage. It reminds me of, I used to work at a cell phone store, and this one girl, she was actually our assistant manager. We used to make bets of who was going to show up. We said, I don't want to give her name, but we said number 1 or number 2. And I remember it was a running gag throughout, she didn't know about it, but it was a running gag throughout the whole department because some days she would show up as her best self, kind, courteous, happy, positive. Other days she was like a bull in a china shop. So you never knew who was going to show up. But that inconsistency doesn't lead to success. It leads to people wanting you out or pushing you out or not really willing to go to your next level or coming to your shows. So whatever happens in your own life, sometimes, you go to work and you may have had a fight with your wife right before you left. You shouldn't come to work with a scowl on your face like, damn that woman. Come to work with that smile. That has nothing to do with work. That has nothing to do with work. I tell people that all the time. That has nothing to do with the job. Leave the issues at the door. Show up as your best self. And when you leave the work, pick that back up. But always leave your less best self at the door and always show up as your best self. Why? Because you never know who is watching, and more importantly, you never know when they're watching. So when you give a half-hearted effort, that might be that one day that somebody of influence could have picked you up and say, man, I want you to work with me. But since you showed up as your less best self, they said, because that's all they could go off of. If they have you in little small, it's like basketball. I love sports. Like if I watched your game, I never saw you all season, but I watch you in short dosages, I'm going to judge you in those short dosages that I received you in. So I may not watch you all season. You may have killed it all season, but you came to the playoffs and you what do they call it? Drop the egg, or you dropped the ball, and you laid an egg. If you laid an egg during the time I saw you, then I'm going to always remember you as laying an egg. But if you come in, no matter what you did previously, you come in as your best self, I'll see you and remember you as your best self. So always remember, in life, if you leave your house, you show up online, you show up anywhere, show up as your best self. Because again, you never know who is watching. And more importantly, you never know when they're watching. So ask yourself this every day before you leave your house, before you go online, before you do a video, before you write your book, before you do the podcast, whatever you're doing. If you're an entrepreneur, before you go to work, ask yourself, how am I showing up? I'm showing up as my best self or less than my best self? And I hope you take the former than the latter. Again, this is Rich Fontaine. I appreciate you. You can either agree with me or not agree with me. But Terry, my man, I appreciate it. Today was a successful conversation. Love is love. Please like, please share, please comment. I believe this will serve people well, especially on this Monday morning. You come off on the weekend, you've been drinking, you've been relaxing a little bit, but you still should show up every day as your best self. Love is love, and I appreciate all of you. Have a blessed and awesome day. And please, if you get to the end of this episode, watch the beginning so you can get your angel numbers that were made specifically for you. Namaste.